Is a social media ban a plan? Well, first, I think it's really important to understand that the political desire to act on social media in quite a radical way comes from a very real place of frustration. Parents and children, communities as a whole, are really, really struggling with the impact of digital technologies on childhood. It's really important to understand that it's not just social media, that although that has a lot of the political attention, gaming, AI chatbots, even the technology used in classroom is a real issue also. So the first part of the answer would be, is banning social media a plan? Well, if it is, it's only a very, very partial plan because the issues that children face on social media, they also face elsewhere, and we're going to need to address that too. Secondly, is banning a plan? Well, in some cases, there definitely is an argument that we need to turn things off. Not everything is appropriate for children. Obviously, some things are illegal for children. A lot of content, conduct, and things is inappropriate for children, and they should not be in certain spaces, and they should not be exposed to certain things. They should, in particular, also not be exposed to certain commercial practices that are widely used across digital technology today in order to keep users engaged, to keep them scrolling, to keep them creating content, to keep them essentially also providing data and watching advertisements. So these are the kind of things that should not be happening to children. So there are definitely practices that we should ban. Whether we should ban specific services or not is a much wider question. Certainly, a service which is not complying with the law should certainly suffer quite severe consequences and not have access to children, not be able to market to, not be able to exploit children. But then, if we are talking about setting, for example, an age gate across certain types of services, then I think things become a lot more complicated. It's really, really important to understand that based on children's rights, which apply all the way until children are 18 years old and apply wherever they are, online as offline, across all of the services that they interact with. Based on those rights, we are looking to protect children for as long as possible and empower them as early as possible. There is no point shutting children out. We need to make sure that they participate and that they engage in a way to be prepared for the adult world. The world today is hybrid. Taking children away from the digital environment is not an option. So how do we make sure that we get the balance right? So we need to protect children from features and functionalities and spaces that are not appropriate for them, but we need to gradually empower them as they get older so that they can participate, learn in an age-appropriate way. Blanket bans do not solve the problem. What we need is a more graduated approach. We need access restrictions, yes, as one tool in the toolbox of age-appropriate design. All access restrictions must be thought of as part of age-appropriate design. This means that, for example, for the youngest of children, certain things, a wider range of things, should not be accessible. Children under the age of 13 normally should not have access to personalized services. Personalized services should not be offered to under 13s. This is based on data protection law. There are very few benefits to most of these services currently now for children, and the risks are very high. They do not have the capacities to understand what is happening and how to meaningfully interact with these technologies. When we're talking about teenagers, though, we need this graduated access. So indeed, we need default settings that turn things off that are high risk for children based on their age, whether that is under 14, under 15, under 16, all the way up to 18. And as children access a greater range of features and functionalities, they must do so in a way that is age appropriate, which means, for example, with age-appropriate information and consent mechanisms, with safety filters, with, for example, positive nudges, warnings, and also with reporting and redress mechanisms that are suitable indeed for their age. So access restrictions, in a way, yes, but they must be graduated. They must be part of age-appropriate design. It cannot be a question of just shutting children out and then letting them on to services which are not appropriate for them. So access restrictions, not in isolation, but as part of age-appropriate design. 13 is a key age because it is enshrined in law now, but we must not forget older teenagers also.